Hey, what is up guys? Kalem or KalemsFishtanks. As you guys know, I've recently rescaped my 40 breeder and it's a little bit empty. There's only about 5 fish in there, so today I decided it was time to go out and get some new fish for this scape. I went to my local fish store, which I'm going to take you guys along with me because they've got some really cool tanks. So I'm going to show you guys all of those, as well as at the end of the video, I'll show you guys the new fish I got as well. Right before I left for the local fish store, I noticed this tank was really overgrown. It needed to get a trim. And one of the really cool things about this fish store is everything they have in there is produced locally, or almost everything. Like these ember tetras you see in my tank came from here, and this is actually where I bring all my plants. Every time I have my tanks ready to trim, I'll trim it all up and bring it over there and get some store credit so I can use it to buy different products. So today, since fish are a little bit expensive, I decided to trim up this tank, and I've got 4 different plant species that I brought over. We have Ludwigia inclinata Cuba, Bucephalandra Brownie Mini Phantom, and this is one of my favorite buces, gets awesome colors, Ludwigia arcuata, and finally we also had Ludwigia palustris, which is this super deep red Ludwigia that apparently sells really good for them. So these will help me get my fish a little bit cheaper. So here we are at Critter Jungle. This is the Carling Avenue location in Ottawa, and this is my local fish store. They have a bunch of different tanks here, and it's where I go to get most of my fish. Here were some Apistogramma agassizii double red, and honestly I was very tempted by these guys, almost came home with them, but I decided to go with something else. These are Axelrodi rasboras, which are something you don't see that often but have this super pretty blue color. Unfortunately couldn't get a great focus on them. Some crystal red shrimp. They had a bunch of different shrimp tanks, a bunch of different kinds of Caridina as well as Neocaridina. One thing I love about the tanks at Critter Jungle is they are super natural. I didn't get any shots of the filters, but on the filters, all of the filters, they have some kind of plant growing out of the top of them. Either pothos or purple waffle. Those were the plant tanks, a little empty right now, so I brought them a bunch of plants to fill them up, and this is their beta tank system. All the fish are kept in 2.5 gallon tanks with filtration and live plants. They recently got an import in from Thailand, and they've got some super pretty ones right now. These are humpback limia. These are a live bearer, super cool fish, which I'll show you guys again in just a second, but these are locally produced. Like I mentioned, a lot of the things at this store are from local breeders in the area. Here were some really pretty Odessa barbs. A lot of the fish here you'll find full size, and here are the limia again. Me and my brother were trying to get them to chase our fingers. Hungry little fish, like all live bearers, very greedy. A bunch of different rice fish, as well as some gold McMasteri pistos, super pretty fish. And as you can see, another beautiful planted tank. In their plant displays, they had a bunch of female betas, and here we are back looking at the rest of the betas. I didn't notice, but they have 2 of those racks like I showed earlier, 1 on each side. This is one of their display tanks, some beautiful little low-tech tanks, super natural looking. This one's got a honey gourami in it, and the one underneath has some ember tetras as well as a bunch of easy plants. Super stunning, super easy, great for beginners. This was in a fluval flex. This is one of the beta fish they had in the show tanks, and probably one of the prettiest in my opinion. I mean, he's just got a beautiful half moon, super beautiful blue color. And then they also recently got these ribbed newts. They're super cool. Unfortunately, I couldn't get great video of this one, but very interesting. Now, what Critter Jungle is mainly known for is their bioactive vivariums and dart frogs. They have a whole rack in their store just dedicated to all different species of dart frogs, and honestly it's super sick to see. I unfortunately don't keep dart frogs yet, but there's something I've wanted to keep for a while, and maybe eventually or down the future I'll get a dart frog tank, but I'm having a bit too much fun with fish tanks, so for now I'm putting that off. But they had all different kinds here, so this one's just unfortunately I don't know too much about them, but this one's brown and blue, and he was really pretty. You can see 2 of them out there. All these planted tanks, unfortunately a little bit hard to film because of the condensation, and then they have all these plants for sale as well for people setting up bioactive vivariums. This is really cool. This is a Leachianus gecko. Before I got into fish tanks, I was really into geckos, and they were always like on my wish list, and I had never seen them till recently, but they have someone locally breeding them for them here at Critter Jungle. This was a super pretty leopard gecko. Unfortunately, I couldn't get a good shot of her, but she was stunning. They also have a bunch of different isopod kits, which is really cool to see. Isopods are a pretty cool new hobby coming out. And then these were probably my favorite of the dart frogs. These blue and yellow guys, I know they're pretty common and a lot of people keep them, but I think they're common and pretty for a reason. So there was lots of pretty fish there, so it was really hard to make a decision on what kind of fish I was getting, especially because I didn't want to stock the tank too much because it's only about 1 month old. So I did get quite a few fish, spent quite a lot of money, but I think they're really pretty and I'm really happy with the fish I got. So I got a couple different kinds, and unfortunately I didn't have time to record me acclimating and adding them to the tank. I had about 30 minutes before I had to get to work by the time I got home, so unfortunately I don't have any recording on how I acclimate my fish, so I'm just going to tell you guys about how I do it. For most species of fish, acclimation is something people kind of overstress, especially if people are using, or wherever you're getting your fish from uses tap water or water that's similar to yours, which most probably will, instead of using an RO system and reconditioning their water, especially if they're local to you. But what I usually do is, for most fish, I just temperature acclimate. To do this, I let the bag float in the tank for about half an hour to 20 minutes, and then the temperature should be roughly the same, and then I can add my fish without shocking them. For things like shrimp or more sensitive species, I like to take this a little bit more slow and drip acclimate them. You set up a hose, have a drip in it by making a knot, not a completely tight knot, but something that'll allow a small drip of water to go from your tank into the bucket or wherever you're acclimating your shrimp or sensitive fish in, and this just ensures that the least amount of stress possible is created for your fish, and they will happily acclimate to the new tank. So without further ado, let's check out these new fish. Initially in this tank there was a couple of stragglers after the rescape. There was 2 cardinal tetras, 2 autosynclus, as well as 1 tiger barb, and and a couple of dwarf chain loaches, which I planned to get eventually, but I didn't get today. My main goal was to up the school of my cardinal tetras, and I decided to add 12 more of these guys. So now I have a total of 14, and I am absolutely in love with the way this looks. They're so active and they take up so much space in the tank, and they all school together right now because they're a little new to the tank. Eventually, unfortunately, that'll likely stop, but right now I'm really happy and really love watching it. And I can't wait to watch these guys get a bit of size on them because they are still a little small, but their colors are amazing. These videos were all taken one day after the fish were added to the tank, and they look stunning. So a lot of the new fish I added are hiding in this tank at this point. It's only been a day since they've been added, so I decided to throw in some Sarah Onip tabs to lure everybody out. These are great for getting photos of fish because you can stick them right to the front glass and they slowly dissolve, so all the fish kind of swarm around it. They're not usually all on top of it, they're kind of in the area. This got all the cardinal tetras attentions, which was super excited to see because they've only been in there 1 day and they're already eating really good. And by the end of this Sarah Onep tab, or by the time everyone was done eating, there was only about half of it left, which is pretty good considering they were just added. Eventually, I'd like to add some more fish in here so we can use up one of those full ones. But yeah, pretty good start. Slowly, the new fish, the most exciting fish, started coming out. So the ones I'm most excited about are these guys. These are Apistogramma McMasteri Gold, and I decided to get a trio of these. Unfortunately, I've never had much luck with Apistogrammas. For whatever reason, they always just die on me, but I think I've learned a lot since then, and this tank is probably pretty stable, and I think it'll be a great home for them. And I hope to eventually get a little breeding with these guys because I think it would be super cool to get some babies. These were locally produced by a breeder near me who bred these in our tap water, I think. So hopefully if things go well, maybe I'll get some babies in the future, which is something I'm really looking forward to. There's a lot of little caves and stuff inside the wood, and I'm thinking maybe if I'm lucky they'll breed in one of these. I also got 4 autosynclus catfish, which you can't really see, but you can see I've got a lot of green dust algae on the sides of my tank. I've been letting it grow out, I haven't been scraping it off the sides, so when I got some autosynclus, I can have them take care of it. Autos are some of my favorite fish. They're super fun, and if you get them in a big enough group, they will school around the tank, which is always awesome to see. So now I have a total of 6 in there. So for total stocking, I've got 6 autosynclus catfish, 2 dwarf chain loaches, and I plan to get a lot more of those. They're one of my favorite fish. 3 Apistogramma McMasterite Gold, as well as 1 Tiger Barb and 14 Cardinal Tetras. I'm debating whether or not I want more of these Cardinal Tetras because they are so much fun to watch and add so much color to the tank, or some other kind of schooling fish. This tank can handle quite a bit more bioload, I think, because it is so heavily planted, and the plants I did choose are really robust and will take up a lot of nutrients and can help me handle a higher stocking rate. So I may add quite a bit more fish in here in the future, but I wanted to take things slow at first because this tank is only a month old and I don't want to overload it with a lot of bioload before it's really matured. Anyways guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and maybe learned something new along the way, and let me know what you guys think. What else would you guys add to this tank? Anyways, this was KalemsFishtanks. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.